Yeah, they're playing ice hockey with me right now. You see, there are things which happen which cannot be predicted. For example, the coming of the Israel-Hamas war, right, which triggered the oil prices. I'm putting this to him deliberately, and then which triggered the oil prices to spike by 4 or 5%. Now we are importing 75-80% of our oil consumption. Now inflation is still 9% plus. Right? Unemployment is still 9% plus. Inflation is still high. Unemployment is high. There is a possibility. We always say that if this emerges into a bigger conflict, and we are asked to take sides. See, we did not take sides. We looked at national interest, and it worked very well. Will we be able to do it every time? And if we can't, then what is the impact on our economy? Will we get a blow?
So let me put it in.
How long can we stay away from pledging to an economic bloc?
So, two things. Arnab, since you're a business channel now, it's very important to tell you that we are now producing 185 gigawatt of renewables. Secondly, the green hydrogen mission. The Prime Minister has said that we are an importer of fossil fuel, about 160 billion. But by 2047, we'll be an exporter of energy. We will use renewable to crack water, produce green hydrogen, become the biggest producer of green hydrogen, and we'll be exporting green hydrogen in its liquid form, ammonia. And that is what all his oil companies are doing now. They are the drivers. So that is on the positive side of what we are doing. Secondly, when the oil crisis arose because of the Russia-Ukraine war, or when we've looked only at our national interest. No other country has been able to do what India has done in its oil procurement. And this government, Mr. Hardeep Puri, was able to negotiate and get the best deal for India.
Will we be able to do it again?
Yeah.
Especially when the Chinese yuan comes in between. Yeah. Will we be able to do it for a longer period?
First of all, Arnab, I think some things need to be stated up front. There is no shortage of oil in the world. An oil producing cartel, OPEC Plus, decides how much oil it wants to release. They cut 1.5 million barrels a day earlier, and they did another 1 million barrel cut now. But the price didn't go up, it came down, which means there is a mismatch between OPEC action and the markets factoring in on them. I don't anticipate any difficulty on the availability front. Insofar as the affordability front is concerned, I think what Amitabh is saying is very important. We've gone biofuels blending 10%, we've reached 12%. In 2014, we've done 1.4%. We had a target for 2030 of 20%. We are bringing it 25%. We are moving breakneck speed ahead. Even the war there, I have to be very careful on what I say. As the Prime Minister says, this is a time for peace. I hope that is what works. But in the coming months, our ability, you see, if supply chain gets disrupted somewhere, obviously, you talked about the Chinese supply chain, but we recovered very quickly.
True.
But we've also learned our lesson. Don't be overly dependent on one supply chain. Diversify your supply. I think with all these energy measures we are taking, I don't know, we don't have too much time, we will have a situation where the India story gains in strength rather than gets overcome by global perceptions of global turbulence.
Well, I've loved this conversation. We've discussed China, we've discussed GDP, per capita GDP, oil, global uncertainty and geopolitics. I find in both of you a lot of pragmatism, and I find you both extremely positive about the role ahead. You're going to play a big role in the Indian economy in the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you very much. Mr. Kant, I know you have a flight to catch, and Mr. Puri for launching Republic Business ever in your debt. And you came on a day when Parliament is on. So I'm so happy about that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All set to become a developed nation by 2047. The Indian growth story is an unparalleled success. Be there at the India Economic Summit Sustaining the Dream Run, coming up on 5th December in New Delhi. From satellites to semiconductors, India is on an economic growth highway. Join us at the India Economic Summit, Sustaining the Dream Run, on 5th December in New Delhi. With over 100 unicorns and more waiting to come up, it's time to celebrate India's entrepreneurial spirit. Join us at the India Economic Summit, Sustaining the Dream Run, on 5th December in New Delhi to celebrate this and more.
I believe that if we work well, we work together, and even media organizations like ours can play a small part in this. I believe that by 2030, we should be established as one of the economic superpowers in the world.
From satellites to semiconductors, India is on an economic growth highway. Join us at the India Economic Summit, Sustaining the Dream Run, on 5th December in New Delhi.
I believe that if we work well, we work together, and even media organizations like ours can play a small part in this. I believe that by 2030, we should be established as one of the economic superpowers in the world.
All set to become a developed nation by 2047. The Indian growth story is an unparalleled success. Be there at the India Economic Summit, Sustaining the Dream Run, coming up on 5th December in New Delhi. With over 100 unicorns and more waiting to come up, it's time to celebrate India's entrepreneurial spirit. Join us at the India Economic Summit, Sustaining the Dream Run, on 5th December in New Delhi to celebrate this and more.
Centricity and strengthening the bank's position in the market. His strategic leadership and commitment to excellence were acknowledged when he was awarded the Business Today's Best CEO Private Sector Award in 2019. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And with him on the stage is Mr. Saqib Malik, Deputy Business Editor, Republic Media Network. A huge round of applause before they begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Amitabh Chaudhary needs no introduction. A dynamic personality, somebody who's worked across the country's expanse, somebody who's transformed the banking sector in India, even before his present stint at the Axis Bank, which is country's one of the leading private sector banks. I welcome Mr. Chaudhary to the event. Thank you for taking our time. Lots of banking action happening. Before we come to the banking side, in your transformation of the banking sector over the last several decades, you've ensured to set a footprint of banks across country's expanse from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. While the same is happening with Axis Bank, how do you look at financial inclusion, which is a dream of the Prime Minister, which is something has been spoken time and again? Mr. Chaudhary, tier 2 cities, smaller towns, having people that independence, financial independence, what are the sort of efforts that you're putting in at Axis Bank?
So firstly, thanks a lot for inviting me on this platform. Really appreciate it.